So, ladies and gentlemen, here's Marge. Marge. And she's on Rob Schitt's show. Rep Greene exposes communist regime like. I would call it light if I was them, just LITE. It's just like Mao and fucking Stalin, except fewer calories. And Trump indictment exposes communist regime like Trump indictment motivation. So they're indicting him because they wanted to do it as a community. All right, let's see.
On the road from Congresswoman.
By the way, you're watching Houseparks Mega Worldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your parts. Like, subscribe, share the show, let people know. Venmo, don't you know?
Sorry. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, and the Georgia Congresswoman joins me now.
Oh, isn't that the district that has the big electric car battery plant that's like responsible for all the new jobs that have been created since she's been in office, and because of a bill she opposed? Never mind.
Thank you so much for coming on. As we've gotten a chance to look over this indictment since last night, as ridiculous, I think, as we all expected, many of the racketeering acts occurring well outside Fani Willis's jurisdiction, also criminalized.
Well, yeah, but if the central crime was committed there, that's why racketeering works. Like if you're like, well, they didn't buy the drugs, like the person who sold the drugs in Atlanta got them from a person that didn't buy them in Atlanta, but they were coordinating with the person who bought the drugs outside of Atlanta, or in fucking South America. It doesn't matter. That's how a racketeering thing works. I mean, granted, Rob is as angry as he is dumb. And maybe they both, those emotions just jockey for position every single day of his life.
Things like this one. This was Act 100 in the racketeering, saying that Donald John Trump caused to be tweeted from his Twitter account, hearings from Atlanta on the Georgia election overturn now being broadcast. Check it out, OAN, Newsmax, and many more. Effectively trying to make it illegal to tell people to turn on the television and to watch a hearing.
No. If somebody else had posted that, do you think they'd be in jail or in trouble? No. The reason he posted that is because he was in coordination with the people who were fucking doing it. He was using the official Twitter account of the president of the United States and his campaign to refer people to a hearing that he knew was presenting fraudulent information. I got news for you. Thousands of maggots on that day said, watch the thing there. Rudy's he's about to fart on Jenna Ellis again. They posted all kinds of shit getting people to watch that stuff on OAN. And none of them are in trouble.
That's right, Rob. It's outrageous. And
there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's proof positive that there you go. Hold on. Whoop-oo. Play, you silly thing. There it is. Outrageous. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to love the word outrageous. That's the word that lets us know that the charges are indeed true. The accusations are valid, and the person involved is aware of the criminality going on. Yes, and is a participant. This is also, you can tell she is teeing up her argument when they come after her, which will happen.
I actually think that Fani Willis and Democrats nationally, from the federal level at the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg, I think they're all guilty of the exact RICO, racketeering, and conspiracy charges that they are actually charging President Trump with.
Zing! Because
this is a conspiracy to stop President Trump from winning the 2024 election and to silence his speech.
Or he committed a bunch of crime, and he did it over so many different places in his conspiracy to do that the reaction to it will look, it's like saying the FBI is conspiring against the Unabomber to use every tool at their, across multiple states to find out who he is and put him in jail.
And ultimately actually destroy free speech altogether.
Nope. Apparently, you're talking to Mike, and he's talking to Mike, and I'm talking to Mike, and everybody could fucking bitch about this all they want. But when you're the president of the United States, that what constitutes an order or what constitutes coordination with a group is totally different.
It's straight up communism, and people.
I don't know. Why is it communism? Why? Why is conspiracy? Why does she think that so little of capitalism that she doesn't think we're capable of good old fashioned conspiracies? I got news for you. There's a shit ton of conspiracies that happen in the good old US of A. Maybe is she just mad that nobody wants to hang out with her and plot and plan anything? Like she and Matt and all them get together, that they end up, she and Lauren Boebert can't get their shit together and not pitch a fit and start spitting in each other's mouths. And look, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, but ew. Is she just mad that other people are able to put together an effort and do something in a coordinated, functional way, and so that must be communism? Otherwise, it would be a natural talent she has.
Everywhere completely outraged.
Yeah, tell me what a communist is the next, as soon as you turn in your PPP loans.
This is something that the DAs all seem to share an ideology here politically. I mean, you've got Willis's family.
Yes, they're all pro-democracy.
Family was made up of Marxist Black Panthers. You've got Alvin Bragg, obviously.
Is there another kind, by the way?
Buys into the same kind of ideology, the way that he's destroying this city. He doesn't want to throw anybody in prison for committing crime.
Is he, though? Has anybody been thrown in jail in New York? Has anybody been convicted and gotten prison time in New York at all? Because obviously, that would be an easy thing to check.
They all share this really just
dark skin. Just say it, dude.
Devastating ideology that is so devastating.
Devastatingly dark skin.
For this country, they unite around that, and then they try and take down somebody like this, somebody like former President Trump. It kind of makes sense.
There's nobody like former President Trump. I'm offended that you would even think that he's not in a class by himself.
That's right.
As far as grotesque old farts who are shit the bed idiots.
Right, Rob. And people everywhere are terrified of this government.
Yeah, they're so scared of it. That's people in my district are like, they're arming up, man. They've got they're broke as fuck, but they got 9 AR-15s. The only thing they spend more on AR-15s and ammunition so they can go out shooting every weekend, of course, is fireworks, trucks, and NASCAR tickets. I swear to fucking God. Classless and by himself, yes.
This is something that we expect in third world countries, that we expect in communist regimes. But this is what we're...
Well, again... Why not authoritarian autocratic regimes? Why do they always have to be communist regimes? Maybe this is just her buzzword of choice. But again, what the fuck part makes it communist? I'll give you the Marxist Black Panther reference that you're going, the Marxism is communism, fine. The fuck is communist about just... Is Trump playing into communism by committing these crimes? Are these communist crimes he's committing?
Seen in America today. Rob, I live in a rural district. This is where people really want...
She lives in a rural district where people drive their fucking F-150s to the mall.
Want $1.75 gas back. They do not like the Biden...
Yeah, the way they had it was because nobody could go anywhere. We want to go back to lockdown. We don't like these people.
Policies. A lot of people on fixed incomes, like senior citizens, single moms, just good working people, are going month to month with their paychecks and maxing out their credit cards with high inflation, high grocery bills, high electricity bills, and high gas bills. But they're watching the Biden regime actually try to arrest President Trump, lock him up in jail for the rest of his life, which is a death sentence, and then go after his...
Well, yeah, technically, it's not a death sentence. Actually, you can live a very long time. The sentence it's a life sentence is what it is. Just saying.
Supporters across this.
How gas has gone up a bunch lately. Why? Because the price of oil and processing of it has gone up because of the Saudis.
State. It's
again, the conversion to hybrids, hydrogen, and electric cars will be a long-term one. It takes about 8 to 10 years for the transition, but we're moving in that direction. We have just come. By the way, the U.S. has just dropped below the our usage of oil has dropped below our production of oil for the first time ever. I think maybe 2018 it did it for a little while, and then it went back up.
Something that it's still shocking. I can't even believe it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you something about Atlanta, Rob, and it's really important for people to know.
Okay, let's hear it.
Atlanta has some of the highest crime in the country.
Yeah.
Murder, rape, carjacking. And the state of Georgia is one of the worst states in the country for child sex trafficking.
Okay, where do we even fucking start? All right. Well, let's start with, obviously she knows that Matt Gaetz flew an underage girl into Georgia, and she knows him personally, and they hang out. So is it worse? Is it the worst in the state because there's more of it, or because people notice and it gets her friends in trouble? Okay. Let's see. 2020. I only have the 2021 numbers, which is at the height of it. Let's see. Georgia's in the middle of the pack in terms of crime compared to the rest of the U.S. State's violent crime rate of 3.26 per 1,000 is 12% lower than the national rate, though its property crime rate is 25 per 1,000, which is in the 17% national levels, while Georgia's statewide crime rates are a mixed bag. This is Monroe, Georgia has a little ad on their site. Safest cities in Georgia. Georgia's in the middle of the pack in terms of crime compared to the rest of the U.S. The state's violent crime rate is 3.26 per 1,000, is around 12% lower than the national rate, though its property crime rate of 25.74 per 1,000 is 17% above national levels. While Georgia's statewide crime rates are mixed bag, the Peach State's 5 safest cities earned remarkably low crime rates in 2018. Well, that's wonderful. Let's see. The FBI Georgia. This is the... That's 2016. I need newer thing. Okay, I'm going to do it up here. Georgia crime rates to 2023. It's SafeWise 20. Okay, this is SafeWise. Here it is. Violent crime rates. Violent crime rate in Georgia. Hold on. Overall, this is good. It's 3.9 crimes per 1,000 people, which is lower than the national average of 4. Represents a decrease of 3% year over year. Our state safety respondents reported an 86% increase in violent crime experiences. Georgia reported 892 murders last year, which is the 4th highest in the U.S. Georgia ranks 5th in the nation for the most robberies and aggravated assaults. Violent crime represents 18% of all the crime in Georgia, which is higher than the national average of 17% by 1%. 50% of Georgians use some form of personal protection. Well, I hope so.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
With a concealed firearm leading the way at 46%. So I don't know. There's good guys with guns all over the fucking place. I don't know what the problem is. 57% of Georgia residents say their personal safety has been affected by the pandemic, which is the highest percentage in the nation. That's pretty broad, though. Okay, hold on. Now let's look at Atlanta. Let's check the news on this. Increase for third consecutive 2022. That's 2022. This is 3 weeks ago. Atlanta's murder rate allegedly declined by 35% since the YSL and YFN RICO arrests. Okay. My high profile impact of legal issues hip hop right now. Okay, blah blah blah. Maybe this is what she's pissed about. Atlanta homicides are down for the first time in 4 years. I thought Fani Willis was just too fucking busy to do. Leaders credit Mayor Andre Diggins' youth programs targeting policing efforts. I can't pay for that again. That's from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. That's from a month ago. Let's see. This is February of this year. Atlanta's police chief says city getting safer. Statistics shows. Homicide, rape, burglary, and robbery are all down year over year. This is according to Atlanta police data. Chief says Atlanta's police attack on gangs, guns, and drugs is paying dividends. We're seeing a sharp reduction in our homicides in the city of Atlanta. Latina Mitchell says the pain of the murder of her son, Vianta Yancey, on January 14th is relentless. I can't function right. I can't sleep at night. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. I'm still experiencing the pain. It's something that doesn't go away. This was my only son. Now, when people get on me pick your fucking like hyper lefty faux aggressive buzzword for being, copaganda or pro cop or any of that shit. And going, what about the criminals who don't get a chance to thrive and that they're driven into crime by life and circumstance? I would say to you that we should look at the impact of crime on if you're going to talk about the impact of race and crime and where they coincide, you should look at the victims. And your goal should be to, if there's any inequity in the number of victims in any particular racial group, you should work very hard to remedy that. Does that make sense? Because in all of the situations, in all the areas of the country where there are supposedly more black perpetrators in jail, there are also twice as many black victims. And those are the people who didn't do anything wrong, who were on the receiving end of this shit. And nobody ever talks about rehabbing them or helping them get on their feet or jobs programs or any of that shit. If you use a gun in the commission of a crime, fuck you. Bye. You're not at that point. You're not known a rider with a bad case of affluenza-based kleptomania. No. And the person who's on the receiving end of that gun, the rolling impact on their fucking life should matter. And the vast majority of the people who are victims of inner city crime in terms of black perpetrators are black themselves. Most people look like their attacker across all groups. So, and I give a shit about those people more so than any other, right? And so your goal should be to lower the number of victims in crime, period. That's your primary goal, because nobody deserves to be a fucking victim. So that's my rule on it. So we'll deal with that later on. But here, and this is exactly what they're doing. This is the Atlanta police chief. They're doing a gangs, guns, and drugs push. It's like classic police work. I think and this poor woman talking about the death of her son. Yeah. Right now, today, we're at a 61% reduction in our homicide rate over this time last year. We've had 9 occur in Atlanta since January 1st. This time last year, we had experienced 23 in the city. So the work of the men and women in the police department attacking gangs, guns, and drugs, using intelligence to know what areas to be in, and our partners of the state with our federal numbers, those are clearly influencing those homicides that we do have the ability to influence. And again, it's the people that end up shot that should get the most attention. It's the people who end up robbed. It's the people who end up sexually assaulted. Those should be our focus always. You work on lowering the number of, because it's a very small number of a very small number of people who do a lot of repeat hitting. And you start pulling those people off the streets, it's amazing how quickly this shit dries up. And there is something, I think, fundamentally racist in the idea that that the focus on like gangbangers or something along those lines and getting them off the street is somehow racist towards black people, when in fact, those guys will end up harming more black people than anybody else. And who gives a shit about the people on the receiving end? What about those people who are just trying to get on with their goddamn lives? They should just, no, you want to talk about like having a hard time economically getting ahead? Try living with the trauma of having a family member who was shot on your fucking porch for nothing. You know what I mean? That trauma, I would argue, has more of a negative economic impact on not just communities of color, but also like redneck hillbilly communities or whatever, where they have like, look at the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia and all that. There's a lot of interfamily and relational, Hatfield McCoy kind of violence, beefs that turn into violence that have stopped any of those fuckers from getting ahead in life. Just saying. Yes, most gangs victimize their own community. This is true of the Italian mob. This is true of, go watch fucking Casino and all this other shit. Like, come on. The important thing is the victims. We need fewer victims in this fucking country. Period. And I believe one person opens fire at a block party, some shit. We hear about this stuff all the time. You put that one person in jail, you can argue that, like, what about if they've got a kid or they've got what about their family and that's one person. What about the 9 other people who were shot or wounded, or the 35 people that were standing next to this person who bled out on the fucking floor? What about the financial impact on them? How did they get up tomorrow? How did they get a fucking job and try to show up at, ask for a raise at the restaurant they work at a couple of weeks later after they're having fucking PTSD from seeing a friend of theirs bleed out at a house party? You understand? That's fucking gets me pissed off. Meanwhile, this dickhead, for the record, Fani Willis is just going after Donald Trump. She's not worried about violent crime. She's absolutely worrying about it, and it's working. 61% drop in violent crime and murders, and it will continue to drop, and that's that. As it should.
Jima last week with Homeland actually told me that every single month in the state of Georgia, every month, men will buy a child for sex on average 7,200 times. Fani Willis should be going.
Okay. All right. Why Georgia? What the fuck? Let's see. This is how's this? HC cards, human trafficking in Georgia, fact statistics. I don't know how up to date this is. HC cards said, or whatever. Human trafficking typically touches every corner of the globe, including Georgia and other communities. This multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise, considered the fast-growing illegal industry globally, usually having human trafficking, commercial sex exploitation, labor servitude. Human trafficking is what is sexual servitude. We know what this is. Okay. Some locations are prone to sex trafficking than others, for example, residential brothels, casinos, nightclubs, online escort services, street prostitution, strip clubs, criminal enterprise disguised as massage parlors, hotels and motels, social media and channels such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Well, Snapchat in particular is more about fentanyl, and Twitter has all kinds of fucking promoted Chinese escort ads, which is fucked up. They've flooded the fucking place lately. It's really weird and gross. Online classified advertisement sites. Thanks so much, Eric. Appreciate it. Okay. Most times, the people responsible for sex trafficking are prosecuted by the district attorney with the intent of putting them behind bars. Labor servitude. Okay, here we go. On average, 200 to 375 girls are sold or exploited every month. Additionally, nearly 100 girls are taken advantage of in Georgia every night. Furthermore, than 12,000 men exploit these people and pay to abuse adolescent girls. Okay, so again, 12,000 men. Okay. That's a lot. That's a big number. However, I don't know how big the state is. What's the current state population? Let's see. Pop of Georgia by gender. Okay. sex ratio. Georgia's ranked 126th in terms of urbanization. Sex ratio in Georgia is 90 males to 100 females. There are 1.9 million males and 2.08 females in million females in Georgia. Percentage of female population 52%, male 47%. Okay, so out of 2 million men, there are 12,000 men in the state of Georgia that engage in this behavior. 12,000 out of 2 million men, there are 12,000 that engage in this behavior. Who in the chat room is against all of those fuckers going to jail for the long haul? Anybody? There's 2 million men in the there. How much do you think the other 2 million men would go, hey guys, we need about we gotta raise your taxes $5 a year. All the males, just the males in Georgia. How you guys feel about paying an extra $5 a year in taxes so that we can build a prison to put all 12,000 of these motherfuckers? Right? I'm good. That makes sense. Right? And again, 230s are sold or exploited every month. The question being, same girls over and over again, multi-days, blah, 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 that kind of thing. But I don't know where her 7,000 number is coming from. Each month, 12,400 men pay for sex with a young woman, and 72 of them end up exploiting an adolescent female. Okay, that's the number that they're talking about. End up exploiting an adolescent female. So the idea is, did they know they're underage, or do they intentionally go for it? I guess that's the hair splitting that they're doing here. Craigslist is the most efficient medium for the marketing of sex. It is? I thought that section of it, well, I don't know, whatever. Wasn't there a big news story about how it went away? Whatever. Craigslist is the back alley of the internet. Around 65% of men who buy sex with young females do so in and around suburban and metro Atlanta, with 9% near the airport. All right, so we can measure how much Matt Gaetz is in town. Human trafficking is prevalent in Atlanta, Georgia. This is because Atlanta is the busiest airport globally, featuring an average of 260,000 travelers daily. For this reason, it's an accessible place for traffickers to smuggle individuals across Georgia and country borders without drawing much attention to themselves. These perpetrators can also quickly maneuver around the city and its suburbs using interstates like I-85. And 65% of the men that buy sex with young girls do so in areas inside and in the neighboring suburbs of the I-285 circle. Efforts to combat. The government of Georgia meets all minimum standards for combating this. It has continued to demonstrate serious and sustained efforts. Not according to Marge. These efforts include providing comprehensive victim assistance, including extensive pandemic mitigation efforts at government-run shelters. Georgia has increased the number of labor inspectors, established guidelines for these inspectors to screen for indicators of forced labor, updated an MOU conduct joint. Okay, however, although Georgia meets the minimum standards, it has convicted fewer traffickers and identified the lowest number of human trafficking victims since 2016. Law enforcement, I don't know when the last day of this is, or if this is up to date till now. I don't think so, but law enforcement conducted impromptu raids on commercial sex establishments without a clear strategy for victim identification. Authorities have continued to lack the knowledge to investigating rather than typically prescribes penalties ranging from 7 to 12 years for human trafficking offenses and involving adult victims, and 8 to 12 years imprisonment for those involving a minor. I would just double that right away. I think you should just that kind of shit. You should go to jail until your dick no longer works. I would say, depending on your age, the idea is that you don't leave until you're 81. That's it. That's where she got that 7,200 number. But how did she say it? It was the way they wrote it down was that. I'll run that by me. Sorry, I'm going to grab that number again because that's what she's citing. She's citing this number in Georgia. It was because again around the airport. Yeah, every month, 7,200. There you go.
After child sex predators and 200 times. Will buy a child for sex on average 7,200 times. Bonnie Willis should be going after child 7,000 every month. Mentally told me that every single month in the state of Georgia, every month, men will buy a child for sex on average 7,200 times. Fani Willis should be going after child.
She is. That number has not changed. That is a volume issue around the Atlanta airport, it would seem, because it's the busiest airport on the fucking planet.
Child sex predators and traffickers. Fani Willis should be going after murderers, rapists.
They are. The numbers are down 61%.
Car theft.
But that's not.
Fani Willis, no, she's not.
That's
and
not
she
politically
should be going
beneficial.
After cartels.
Yes, there isn't. People, yeah, it's not politically beneficial, Marge. People in Atlanta like being carjacked and murdered, and they like their kids being abducted and killed. Didn't you watch the end of Mindhunter? I thought it was hilarious.
There's no political benefit to going after those people and doing.
Yes, there is.
What's right for society? That's the.
Yes, there is. As a matter of fact, it is primary to the job.
Problem with the system.
Yes, they said 7,000 per month. That's the average. So that's the 12,000 sexual interactions. 7,000 of them are either intentionally or unintentionally with adolescent girls. Now, the definition of them being adolescent, underage intentionally or underage, in general, that's the question. But that's Georgia. That's her state. Largely, though, it seems to be a rotating thing inside this I-285 circle
that we have.
So again, Willis has gone after rapist. Trump is a rapist. That's true also. Well, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So here's. So, I think this is fascinating. This is just 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 3 weeks ago, May 31st, May 30th, March 24th, March 29th, February 16th. This is ongoing stuff. Okay. This is constant stories. This isn't, all I did was, do child sex trafficker convicted Atlanta. 10 Metro Atlanta children rescued from human trafficking, 2 arrests by the FBI. The people that, Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to defund. Manhunt for Conyers man accused of child sex trafficking. Terry Florence has been indicted on 7 counts of trafficking of a person for sexual servitude, 1 count of sexploitation of a minor. That was a week ago. There's a manhunt out for this dude. Hotel clerk sentenced to 15 years in prison for facilitating human trafficking. An Atlanta man is now facing 15 years in prison for assisting in the trafficking of an underage girl at the hotel where he worked as a manager or something. Georgia man receives 2 life sentences for sex trafficking. I thought Fani Willis was just dropping them on the street. Yeah, the FBI has the FBI had the advantage of Mike Lindell's phone though. Union City man arrested, sentenced to life, sold 15-year-old for sex across Metro Atlanta. That's this dude. Hotel clerk indicted. That's probably the same one. Man sentenced to 7 years for trafficking 15-year-old girl at hotels in Metro Atlanta. That's March 29th. Former Falcon NFL player among 8 busted on gang human trafficking charges. February 16th, 2023. That's Fox 5 Atlanta doing this story. Girl rescued from Metro Atlanta motel where she bought and sold for sex. 9 men convicted 1 month ago. It sounds like they're cleaning fucking house. It sounds like Fani Willis is bringing the hammer down. The question is, can you put these guys behind bars and fucking stay there? And let them say, of course, down here in New York Post, gay couple charged with molesting their adopted sons also pimped them out to pedophile ring report claims. A gay couple from Georgia charged with molesting their 2 adopted sons and using them to record child porn and allegedly pimp them out to... Yikes! That's fucked up. Gross, and they should go to jail, and those victims need all of the help we can afford them. Here's page 2. And again, this is according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Fani Willis is blowing this stuff off and not going after it because it's not politically advantageous to charge these guys. Human trafficking ring in Metro Atlanta. Conyers man wanted. That's the guy we saw before who they're accused of trafficking 3 girls. Missing teen rescued from suspected sex traffickers at Gwinnett Walmart. These 3 fellas right here. What's this one random? The missing teen rescued from suspected sex traffickers at Gwinnett Walmart. I don't know. It's whatever. Anyways, that's the former NFL player who scored Super Bowl touchdown accused of trafficking girls in Gwinnett County. He was part of that group. 10 child sex trafficking victims rescued in Metro Atlanta during FBI-led operation. 10 reported victims of child sex are safe after a 2-week FBI-led operation into Metro Atlanta during FBI-led operation. There we go. 10 victims of them. The FBI says it worked with the Atlanta Police Department, Fulton County Sheriff's Office, and Dunwoody Police Department as part of what the organization called Operation Cross Country, a nationwide campaign to combat sex trafficking. Gee, I thought Biden wanted all that stuff. Roseanne, explain to me. I thought maybe they've given up on it here because the livers taste sweeter in Africa or some shit. Remember that nonsense? Okay. Across the country, federal, state, and local law enforcement agents reportedly identified and rescued more than 200 victims and identified and arrested 126 people accused of child sex exploitation and human trafficking offenses. 68 others were identified or arrested on charges of trafficking. In Metro Atlanta, authorities charged 2 people with enticement and interference of custody. That's where they're like trying to snatch a kid from, their partner or whatever and sell them into it. Officials have not given details about the arrest other than saying that the investigations are ongoing. FBI says it also found 1 actively missing youth in the area during the operation. Human trafficking is a grave violation of human rights that preys on the most vulnerable members of our society, said FBI Director Christopher Wray. I thought he'd given up on this. Why would they even bother? I guess Marge missed this announcement, I guess, right? Said in a statement, the FBI's actions against the threat never waver as we continue to send our message that these atrocities will not be tolerated. The 2-week operation is now in its 13th year after starting it as a 2003 initiative to find minors who've been sexually exploited. Let's see. Daughter wants justice after father attack killed. There was blood everywhere. Good Lord. Cherokee County sonographer charged with sexually assaulting patient in hospital. Ew. Brookhaven Parks and Recreation Director arrested in underage sex sting. This would be this guy. Ugh. Fox 5 Atlanta. Hey, man. Who do you think he voted for? Just on a spot check. The director of Brookhaven Parks and Recreation Department is in custody after an official says he was arrested in an underage sex sting in Cobb County. Court records show that Patrick Nally is being held at Cobb County Jail charged with enticing a child and obscene internet contact with a child, both felonies. Just like Scott Ritter. Officials with the city of Brookhaven say officers arrested him after he traveled to meet a person who he believed was a 14-year-old girl. According to the city, Nally allegedly contacted the officer during business hours and was arrested while driving a vehicle owned by the city. Woof. Nally had been the director of the department for about 3 months after moving from Virginia, where he had previously been the director of Recreation and Parks of Henrico County and the director of Recreation, Tourism, and Cultural Development in Amherst County. The city says he has no prior criminal record and cleared multiple background checks. Yeah, because he just got away with it up there, I guess. He resigned from his position and was escorted from his office after 3 months on the job due to a personnel-related reason. After his arrest, said he was terminated immediately. Although we understand the presumption of innocence, we are acting out of an abundance of caution. Our parks and recreation facilities have hundreds of children and teens. Yes, exactly. Officials say no other allegations have been made during Nally's time with the city. So, but according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, the FBI, Fani Willis, they just haven't even bothered. They don't even bother, man. They don't give a shit anymore. They haven't even been looking. Now, there's one of those can be, it could certainly be true that they don't give a shit. I suppose that's an argument. Or she intentionally, R. Kelly made it into the Atlanta Voice. She intentionally ignores evidence to the contrary in an effort to use internet-related confirmation bias to put a fear chokehold on her voter base and create the false impression that law enforcement and people in the judiciary and stuff are not even bothering to do this and tacitly being part of it. House Sparks, the grand jurors have been doxxed. Yeah, that's it's going to be an issue. Yeah. That's why they said the prosecutors want to make sure that when Trump is reviewing stuff in the documents case that he can't have a phone with him or take any notes. Atlanta FBI agents to outline role in national sex trafficking operation bust. That was August 15th. They basically expected to release local numbers impacting Georgia. That was August. That's recent. 28 teenagers rescued in Georgia in national sex trafficking operation. That's August 16th. That just happened. Shit. Look at that, Marge. I suppose you'll be calling the FBI and Fani Willis and saying, hey, great coordinated effort protecting these kids. Why were their names included in the indictment? They weren't. They were in the notes to it, I think, or something like that. They were leaked some other way. Why are Republicans so obsessed with sex? Because it's scary to them and it's easy to scare people. And there's conservatives have a higher ick factor than other people. 4 people were arrested and 28 victims. Okay, I can't. In Georgia during an FBI-led operation that focused on child sex trafficking over the past 2 weeks. That's August 16th. It just happened. 9 teens were being commercially sexually exploited in Atlanta. 4th man convicted of sex trafficking a child in Clayton County. FBI found 20. This is the 9 in Metro Atlanta during this is what they were talking about. This is that one. Operation. FBI found 28 child victims, 9 sexually exploited in Metro Atlanta during Operation Cross Country 4. Lasted 2 weeks. Investigators found 18 missing kids locally and 9 children victims of sex trafficking. Total of 28 minors were recovered during a 2-week operation where the FBI focused on sex trafficking victims. The announcement came during a news conference Tuesday, one day after the Department of Justice released nationwide numbers regarding Operation Cross Country. The FBI said 9 of the 28 found in the metro area were sex trafficked and said 18 were missing children. Fuck, man. No. Goodbye. I don't want to hear anybody going, we gotta get rid of prisons. No, we gotta get like genuinely nonviolent, rehabable, low-level criminals should get the fuck out of jail so we can make room for these fuckers forever. Any day a rich guy will go to jail, I'm sure of it. Well, that, Trump, interestingly enough, remember that, what is it, Grizzly Knows Best, whatever. What was that fucking weird reality show about the real estate tycoon and his wife and whatever? And he's super gay and nobody, like the whole family dances around it. And somebody will know what I'm talking about. He and his wife were engaged in this like horrible, Grizzly Knows Best. That's right. Thank you, Slayer Chick. They were engaged in this like awful criminality. Bilking people out of their money and doing the exact same crimes Trump did, where they were telling the banks their properties were worth shit and telling they're worth a lot and telling the IRS their properties weren't worth everything. Right. And they were multimillionaires. They went to fucking jail. So there you go. I'm not leaving. I want to leave this. Go back here. A total of 28 minors. There you go. We remain vigilant to take down those who prey on our country's most innocent population. Farley said most of the suspects were found in a van down by the river. No, I'm sorry. It's just Farley. My bad. Using online dating apps and chat rooms, but cautioned that many are still taken or coerced in other ways. Every parent should be concerned about their children and their online activity. When children are recovered, their team helps them get back on their feet by partnering with a resource specialist who can help them find education, housing, and even connecting them with family members. When they weren't actually sold by the family member, I suppose. The department released nationwide info from their search on Monday. Well, Marge could have seen this, I suppose. 37 missing children, 84 child victims found in FBI sex trafficking sting. Well, that's good. During a 2-week operation in August, the FBI located 84 victims of child sex exploitation and found 37 actively missing children during a nationwide sex trafficking initiative. The average age of the victim was 15 and a half, and the youngest was 11. Fucking hell. In addition to locating and identifying the underage victim, the FBI found 141 trafficked adults. The Justice Department is committed to doing everything in our power to combat the insidious crimes of human trafficking that devastate survivors and their families, Merrick Garland said in a press release. No wonder Marge hates him. I have to say, like, this is one of the reasons why I get pissed when people flippantly go, ACAB and all that stuff, or when the right shits on the FBI or shits on the DOJ just because they don't like being on the receiving end of it sometimes. Because you have no, I know I've got some true crime fans in here who are, on the team because they see a bunch of this, but just go and look at the daily, no, they're not, Karate Joe, it's gross. Just go look at the daily interaction stuff that happens all the fucking time. Just go look at it. all the time, every day. There are over 1 billion police citizen interactions every year, from full on knock down the door arrests of gun and human traffickers, and then far on the other end, people who are just pulled over for a busted. Like all ACAB means all cops are bastards. That's one of the the hashtag bullshit phrases you see that's allegedly from our side of the aisle, and it's the equivalent fringe version of the the anti-FBI sentiment you hear from the right. The reality is that the wanton disregard for the experience of victims is fucking grotesque, and just because it doesn't become politically expedient.